Okay, so thank you again for deciding to attend the talk, and hopefully I am able to give you value. Um, so this one is our second weekly call that we're doing for cohort number 1 in the Community 90 Days to Paid. Um, and I'm calling this one the 21-day proof sprint, how we go from learning to leverage. And it's more of a testing phase, is how I see the 21-day sprint. Because I think that if we're able to do our experimentation and analyze what needs to change by bringing in the data that we have gotten from that test, it's giving us an informed way of deciding what do we do next instead of being or coming from the overall feeling of I really don't know what's working, so I'm just going to do whatever it is that I think is going to work. Instead, I think we will do much better if we decide to take it from the stance of I'm going to do a test, just like a scientist. I have a theory. I'm going to do a test, and then let's see what results I get from the test. Because I think sometimes we can think that we understand something, but until we've tested that out to see what the results are, how do we really know? Right. And so if we can do that as quickly as possible to be able to gain the data from that and pivot, that's only going to work in our favor. Let's see. Okay. And so this next part, I think, is pretty important, um, because I think that we all um, have this issue. Um, and let me just get back to my next set of comments. Sorry about that. There it is. And so something happens to us whenever we're like learning a new skill. Everything's so foreign. Um, we're usually uncomfortable. And I find that when we're in that state, it's very interesting. We're learning something new. We are uncomfortable, but then at a certain point, you're like, okay, but I'm learning and I'm doing something, right? But then we get into this cycle, this trap where now we just keep learning. And oh, okay, well, I don't think I know enough. So then I keep learning. Okay, well, I think if I learn this over here, this will help. So then I learn some more. And so you get caught in this repetitive cycle of learning, consuming, planning, but then you don't do anything. And I'm speaking from experience where you just keep consuming, but then you don't do anything with what you've consumed. Um, in effect, you are gluttonous, and we need you to go from knowledge gluttony to implementation or exercising. You need to exercise the things that you have learned. It's not enough for us to just learn. And then after a while, I think, at least for me, after a while, you're like, okay, but I am doing something. And you think that you learning is enough for you to be able to move forward. And it's not. It's not. In software engineering, we call that tutorial hell. And it's where you just start becoming so used to watching tutorials that when you try to sit down and learn and do something on your own from all the things that you've learned, you're not able to. And then we start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm dumb or I can't get this. Um, and that's not true. It's just because we've been stuck in this learning process for so long and we haven't implemented anything that it makes you feel like you're never going to get it or you can't ever get it. And so I would never want anybody to have that feeling. It's not a good feeling and it messes with you um, mentally. And that causes you more problems down the line. And so I think it's important that we learn how to stop this repetitive cycle of just consuming, 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 and never producing, right? So we purposefully will stop that because now we're aware that we're caught in that, right? And we're going to interrupt the circuit so we don't continue to do this because at the end of the day, it's not healthy. We're not born on this earth to only consume. We have to do with the things that we learn. And so that's why I call it the 21-day sprint. All right. So the next thing, we're going to transition from being in that loop that we can't get out of, and we're going to transition to interrupting the cycle. And then we're going to say, okay, what's going to get me from here to where I'm trying to go? And that's speed. Um, and I know some people can be really, really uncomfortable with that. But the reason why my advice is to go faster is because I feel like it's a force multiplier. What do I mean by that? If person A takes 6 months to learn, let's just say coding, but person B takes 1 month to learn coding because they're not just learning, they're also implementing and they're doing it quickly. I guarantee you that they're going to have done more and they're going to have more experience and they're going to be more confident. I really, truly believe that. Case in point, I was trying to learn on my own, and I did that for programming, and I did that for a couple years on my own, just learning here and learning there. And I got stuck in that loop. Um, and then I finally said, I think I need some structured help to assist me in being able to learn this so that it sticks and I'm not stuck in tutorial hell. And so I ended up going to a coding boot camp, and I know that a lot of coding boot camps get a bad rep. This one was an excellent one, and I did vet them well. And I attended that coding boot camp from January to May. And in that short time, the return on investment was ridiculous versus me having done this for 2.5 years by myself. The return on investment was so good. I got an internship after I graduated from the coding boot camp, and I got it because I went through the coding boot camp. That I wouldn't have even had that as an option had I not been moving as fast as I was, had I not been in the boot camp. And so I really do believe that putting some speed behind the things that we do, yes, even though it can be messy, the return on investment is going to be so good. It's going to be astronomical. And so I am recommending that you fall fast, you learn fast, so you can get paid faster. And so I suggest you find training that you can get through quickly, not learning something for 6 months, but learning quickly and iterating on that and figuring out what works and what does not work. So in 7 days, I want you to prioritize your speed over complete mastery. And you can utilize platforms, for instance, like HubSpot, YouTube. You can find crash courses. And the reason we're doing this is because we're stopping that endless loop of us learning all the time, and we're interrupting it, and we're taking decisive action and saying, I'm only going to do it for this long, and then I'm going to implement. I'm going to do something with what it is that I'm learning and not just learning for the sake of learning, which that has its place, but not when we're trying to learn a new skill. So, um, there's a 6-step process that I kind of am going to break down that I think will be helpful in being able to do this. So, one is picking your one skill. Two is finding training that you can go through extremely fast. Three is finding your volunteer client. Four is executing in 14 days. Five is tracking your results. And six is you being able to package up the proof of what it is that you have done. So we have talked about last time we did the weekly call about having your one offer. And when you're having your one offer, you are going to figure out this is what I'm going to decide to do. So if you haven't done that, I would recommend you go back to our first call in this playlist so that you can understand that better. Because once you have your offer, then you'll be able to move on to this. So the ask. The ask is finding your volunteer client. Um, it's interesting. I don't know if this has happened to you, but when you're a beginner, um, we tend to complain that since we don't have experience, no one will hire me. Like I need to get experience, but nobody's going to hire me because I don't have experience. So how am I supposed to get experience? Right. And so that's something that I've had to think through and sit with because that's happened to me. But I don't want you to be stuck just thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do anything because I don't have experience. There are other ways for you to get experience. Connecting with local businesses, nonprofits, your friends, and you can volunteer. Is that going to be unpaid work? Yes. But is it going to be vital experience that you can use to now build whatever it is you're trying to do on? Yes. And right now we need to be able to get experience. And so I would say that you are in charge of your own destiny and not fate. And so take that into your own hands and say, if I don't have experience, what can I do in order to get the experience that I need? Churches would love to have someone help them for free. Nonprofits, other organizations, think of other organizations you're a part of or that you know in the local community. Who is it that you can help? Sometimes we get so nearsighted and it's just about us. It's about me. It's about me. I have found that you asking, what can I do to help others is so much more powerful. And you'd be surprised how much you get back from being more concerned about how you can help other people. I just find that it ends up blessing you more and you end up with more money in your pocket just because you're concerned about how can I help other people. And it's an excellent way for you to find your wedge wherever that is in whatever market you're a part of. But that's something for another time. So in order for you to move as quickly as possible, you're going to go the free route and you are going to volunteer. You're going to volunteer and you're going to ask who needs help. Because I guarantee you, you will find someone if you ask. So the next part I call the execution window. So this is focusing on meaningful metrics during your 14-day sprint. You're going to track the results that you get. For instance, I am using social media management as the thing that I would do. And the reason why I say that is because it's a skill that you can learn very quickly. You can use HubSpot, just like I said in the first cohort call. You can use HubSpot training because that's free. And there's more than just social media management. They have email management, marketing. They have all kinds of things. So I would go check it out if I were you. It's free. You don't have to pay. So go the free route as long as you can. Uh, Move as quickly as you can, and then implement as fast as you can. Right? It doesn't have to take us 3 months for us to figure some of this stuff out. You know, yes, you were volunteering. Yes, you were being helpful, but I want you to learn from the time that you are giving to this volunteering experience. And so I would say do it for 14 days, maybe 21 days for you to get some meaningful metrics. And when it comes to social media management, you're going to be tracking a lot of things like um, how many visits did we get from the time we started to, your 14 or 21 days working with this client. And so you're going to be able to look at analytics, just another way of saying you're going to be able to look at what's happening behind the scenes. And you take that data and it helps inform you on making better decisions instead of, well, I think this will work. No, let's get some metrics. Let's get some data so we can make informed decisions, right? We're not just going to go off feelings. We're going to go off of what actually works. And when you're done with this volunteering block of time, not only will you now have experience, but you'll have some data to help you say, oh, okay, well, this worked. So I know I can do more in this area, and this didn't really work. So I can put less effort in this area. But you would not have known that had you not gone through this phase and got some metrics to help inform your decision. So the next thing is turning the activity that you have done into proof. And this is going to be important. You not only want to track all the results for metrics and data sake, you want to also think of this as how can I use this to help leverage that experience that we're getting? So think of it like it's your own personal captain's log. I don't know if any of you watch Star Trek, but growing up, my family and we would watch Star Trek every week. That was like one of the things that my family did. And he would always write in the captain's log. And he would write about the things that he's learned, things that he's accomplished, or things that have happened to him and his crew. And so it's a way of recording things that have happened. And I know that probably seems like, okay, well, what does that have to do with what I'm trying to do? Everything. When we record the things that we're going through, the things that we're learning, the things that were difficult, the data that we've gained, you are setting yourself up to have an easier time when it comes on the back end for you to make something called a case study. And a case study is just a way of you being able to explain there was this person that had this problem. This is what I did to help this person overcome the problem. This is the outcome that happened. And you use that to be able to show other people, oh my gosh, they did it for this person. They could probably do it for me. You recording that journey, even though it is only short, 14 to 21 days, it's still a journey and you're still learning. You being able to leverage that to produce a case study on the back end makes it much, much easier than you sitting there and going, okay, well, what did I do again? And then the other thing about that is you can use that as your form of what is called building in public because people love to be able to see how much you've grown, to be able to see that transformation journey. That's very empowering for other people to see that. And not only that, it shows how much growth that you've had personally, and that's attractive to people because you're showing your relevancy and relatability that you're just like them. You just decided to make a choice to do something different. And on that journey, you documented the highs, the lows, the doubts. That makes you relatable. And you want to be relatable. Nobody's going to want to work with somebody that's like, oh my gosh, they have no idea what it is. You know what I mean? People at the end of the day want to work with people that they know, they like, and they trust. And you being able to do that is going to help people relate to you. And you're more interesting. And we love interesting people. So this is all upside for you because I think it really forces you to sit down and think, to synthesize, to analyze, and then pull out some really deep information and thoughts that'll speak volumes when you're even having conversations with other people that are in the industry that you're starting in, with other people that could be potential clients, like it will naturally come out of you and you're not going to have to sit there and think, what is it that I say? No, because you've taken the time to think deeply, to analyze, and it'll just come out naturally. And that's attractive. People want to be around that, right? It'll flow from you much, much easier. So it's all upside. So the one page converter. Evidence is going to be your best salesperson. I want you to showcase the results that you have gained. And when you're doing that, you're building trust and it helps you to be able to convert people into clients. So you're to package your proof as a case study. If you don't know how to do this, go to YouTube University, or you can ask AI to help you learn and create that case study slash experience so that you can showcase that to your potential clients. And so I stuck this in here because I do want to speak just a tiny bit about going from amateur to professional. And there is a shift that has to happen in your mind, right? I want you to move beyond amateur thinking into a higher level of thinking, which is what professionals do. Amateurs learn and they learn and they learn and they don't implement and they get stuck in that constant feedback loop. And it's always consuming and it's never moving to action. Professionals execute, they document, they sell their work effectively. They're taking action. And that's where I want to get you from the amateur over to being a professional. And, it can get sticky. It can get sticky because honestly, we might not be comfortable. We might not even be aware that we're having what I call limiting thoughts, right? And sometimes when you're in that amateur a phase, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this unless I have that. You know what? You're never going to feel 100% ready. So if you are waiting for that to happen, I am telling you now, it's not going to happen. You're not going to feel ready. You will have to move before you feel like you are ready. Everybody has to do it. It isn't just you. And sometimes I think that we believe we're the only people that are going through whatever it is we're going through. And I guarantee you, you're not the only person. There are other people in the world that have either had to go through that, are going through that right now, or they're going to go through it. You're not by yourself. You're going to have to move before you're ready. You're going to have to move before you feel like you're ready. We don't want to make business decisions only based on feelings. We want to base it on data. And we want to understand that in certain phases of learning and doing business, it's actually normal. But you wouldn't know that if nobody talks to you about it. You would just think it's you, and it's not. All of us feel that way. You're not going to be able to take your old self where your future lies. There just isn't enough room for that person. There's not enough room. So I've got to get you from thinking small to I am doing some action and I'm working towards the person that I want to be. And you are going to be surprised how much you grow in that short time frame. It's going to be awesome. And so we're going to talk just a little bit about clarity. There is something that I have created called the Momentum AI, and that helps you clarify your offer, define your audience, and effectively position your value for maximum impact. And that's if you need it. And here's something else that I was thinking about. How will you end up generating content, automating workflows? Because you're going to start doing a lot of things now because we're asking you to do some actions and we're asking you to do them quickly. And I feel like as much as we can reduce the amount of friction, the faster we can move. I think that's really, really important. And so if AI is able to help us do that, why not leverage it, right? There's this question about, is my job even going to be relevant? Is this business going to even be relevant? Is AI going to replace it? I don't think it's going to be that AI replaces it as much as it's going to be the people that understand artificial intelligence and the people that are leveraging artificial intelligence in their business or in their workflows when they're working their corporate job. That is going to be what replaces you. The people that understand it and are using it because they're able to move even faster. So this is something that I had been thinking about, and I haven't built it yet. Um, I'm still filling out if it's going to be something helpful. But if it reduces friction for you to move even faster, then yeah, then maybe it's something that I need to create. So it's just a thought I had. So at this point, um, just thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen because there are a lot of things you could have been doing today. Um, but I hope it was helpful. And yeah, if you have any questions, now is the time. Thank you again.
Oh my goodness. Once again, that was so awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's just like at one point when you started talking about the trap, right?
Mm,
because I love to learn, but I also love to teach, like I was,
mm,
initially considering, teaching in college,
yeah.
but but it wasn't quite the right route for me. That's one of the reasons why I love this school platform so much, is because I'm like, wow, I get to teach exactly what I want to teach,
Hmm.
and not be, have somebody else over my head and whatever. Anyway, and so I'm like, oh God, the trap. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Did she make this whole entire cohort just for me?
Listen, if it's working for you, then yes.
Oh
Then yes.
my
Yes, I did.
God.